Hi guys, today we're installing an EMU Black on this NB. It's engine-wise it's completely stock except the intake filter, but that doesn't make a difference compared to the normal one. This is all you'll need for swapping an EMU Black onto the MX-5. You'll need the black, of course, and the plug-and-play module that'll now be available on my website, MPperformance.eu. We're also installing, which is optional, a data logger on the EMU Black. This makes it so you can log data anywhere, anyhow, and it has an SD card that you can plug into your computer and check your logs. To get the EMU Black working, we also need a lambda sensor to get it to read lambda and be able to tune it. I've also wired up this already, which is the plug for the lambda sensor to connect to the EMU Black. The EMU Black has an internal wideband controller, so it only needs the sensor and the wires for it. No need for a gauge AEM style. Which saves a bunch of money because this is way less expensive than the AEM one. Also optional, this is mainly for the NAs, but the NBs have an intake air temperature sensor. Some NAs don't have a functional one, so you need one of these. On the NBs, you also don't need a TPS sensor. They already have a variable TPS sensor. The NAs do not have one, so you could either swap into a NB intake manifold with the throttle body or get a variable TPS sensor, which is also available on MPperformance.eu. Besides the plug-and-play module and the wires, you also need vacuum hose. This comes with the kit, of course. This goes from the EMU Black right here to the vacuum port for the map sensor to the intake manifold. I'll show you that later once we've installed it. And of course you'll need your laptop to get the bass tune up. Those are on my website as well. And I also have some tools, stripping pliers, open barrel splices, which are all optional. You can do most of the stuff this you probably already have. I do, however, recommend a deep-pinning set tool. These are really cheap overseas. They're basically used for deep-pinning connectors like this one. This is the black connector, and you can whip out this yellow lock and then deep in it. There's a bunch of videos online. I'll probably also make one to show you really quickly how that works. But this tool makes it way easier to work on connectors and make and repin them yourself. So let's get started. The first step to installing the EMU Black is taking off the old carpet and removing some panels so you can get behind this panel. The original ECU in almost all NA and NB Miatas are underneath the co-driver's foot panel. On some late NAs, it's actually behind the co-driver's seat. So check out where yours is before installing, of course. On basically all of these, you have to remove this little panel. It should clip out once you remove these, which are actually already loose, and then pull it backwards. And you'll find the ECU right behind that. So let's do that. This is all of these nuts have to be removed. They're all 10 millimeters. There's 3 at the bottom and 2 at the top, and that's it. And I have to take it out, and I always get this tip out first and twist it out. Get the carpet as well, and then take it out slowly. These are actually, you don't want to scratch your interior with these, so they're sharp. So this is the original ECU. You can take out the plugs now. Make sure before you touch any of this, or at least the connectors, to remove the negative or positive terminal on your battery. There you go. So now with the battery removed, I'm gonna take out the connectors. There's a little clip at the bottom that you need to pull to get them out. This is actually an NBFL, so you might see some differences with your plugs. If you are doing this the same on your NA and NB, the NBFL has a separate type of connector, but they're all 3 plugs except the early NAs. So that's the original one removed, and I'll take out this little clip as well and get this one out. You won't be needing this anymore. What you could do is, well, we'll end up doing is mounting the black in a way that that it's actually attached to the chassis right here. We'll probably make a plate and bolt it down to that. I also have some brackets if you want to use those, but we'll see what we'll do with this one once we get there. This is the vacuum line that we'll be running. To get it through, we use that hole. There's a hole that used to have a little, I can't find it, but a little grommet in there. And we ended up taping a bit of stainless steel TIG wire and pulling it through, making a little loop, and then taping it on so we can pull it through. So when we were sticking in the piece of wire, you could actually see it underneath right here, come from this hole, from the top. And that made it quite easy to fit in there. And now we've got our vacuum line, and that will need to go to the ECU on this side, to the middle port, as I said, and to the manifold somewhere. There's actually a bunch of ports, and some different cars, different spots, but most of them have this one. So you can take off the little cap, this little cap, and bolt it down there, push it on there. Make sure it's tight somewhere so it can't interfere with the lines or wiring or anything, and it has some give to move the car around, move the engine. The next step is to remove the lambda sensor, the original one. It's on this NB, it's actually available to reach from the top. On some NAs you have to get underneath the car to get better access. It's a, I believe, 22mm box end socket. So just remove the original one along with the wiring, and you can leave the connector open or tuck it away because we won't be needing this. Here's how to assemble the kit. It's pretty straightforward. You open up the side, then just press it on and clip it on. Sometimes they go a bit tough, but that's okay, that's normal. Same for the bigger ones, those are a little bit harder. And the same to the black. And that's the complete unit. And then I wired in the USB connector and the original tuning cable. And let's get it in the car. This is the ground that's connected to the plug-and-play module. This needs to go to ground, else you might end up with some problems, either tuning or reliability, I'm not sure, but you really need this ground. So I'll be attaching it somewhere to one of these posts before mounting it. Oh, there's actually, this is probably better. There's a stud right here that's not used, or maybe to hold this plate in something. I'll probably wire it to that, or the one that's here. That's even better. Okay, perfect. And then don't forget to get the vacuum line in there as well. It's gonna be something like this. I'll just cut it to size and just slip that over. Perfect.
Wat het enige is, hè?
For the vacuum lines, Rick actually got it from there. I don't know if you can see that, but it runs back all the way through here. And we routed it to the ECU. So that's now connected up. As you can see, it's coming from there through that hole that already existed. Same with the lambda sensor connector, the cable. They removed the original lambda sensor, which is this one. This is a narrowband sensor, so it doesn't give you enough precision to get it to tune the car. And now there is a proper Bosch 4.9 lambda sensor on there, which goes up to here to this connector. And this is actually one of the kits that I sell on my website. It's the 4.9 lambda sensor cable. So it's basically a connector with a long cable on there, which has been routed all the way through the firewall to the passenger side, and then underneath the center console to here. And as you can see, it's way too long, but we'll cut it down. And this one has multiple numbers on there. You can see it says 6, so that's pin 6, and there's 6 pins in total, so 1, 2, 6, and it has to go to the options port, which is right here. I'll show you the connector in a minute. It's basically the same connector as the EMU Black, the gray one, the smaller one, but it's black in color. So you have to wire it up to the given pinout for this options port and confirm, which is important. So now we're gonna wire up this wiring harness, shorten it, and put it into the options plug to get the lambda sensor connected.
Don't forget to
One final thing before we get the ECU hooked up is to check if the pinout of the lambda sensor is correct. It has to be absolutely perfect, because if you tend to wire that wrong, like go from the 12-volt switch to the resistor, the internal wideband controller can be damaged on the ECU. So this pinout has to be exactly as it is on the ECU. So to see if we've done it right, this is how you measure it. I've currently, because the pin isn't small enough, put it in pin 1. You can actually see that on the chart they give you. This is a chart that comes with the ECU. We are using the 4.9 sensor, so it's the right one. And you can see this is looking into the sensor side connector. So if you look at the sensor, that's this one. So see there's a little notch at the top right there, and there's a little notch right here at the top. So this is looking into the connector. There's also numbers inside. You can see 1 to 6, and those should correspond to these 1.6 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So say number 1, it's WBO, wideband oxygen IP, and that should connect to the one on the ECU. You can actually find which one right here. So WBO IP should go to the 19th pin on the black connector. So it's looking into the ECU. It's the 19th from the left. So to measure that, I actually hook it up from the nearest point from the sensor, which is the connector, and we'll follow WBO IP all the way into the car and use the continuity mode on our multimeter to get the proper pin on there. So the lambda sensor connector runs all the way down here. I've actually already got the pin temporarily pushed in, so I can confirm it's the right one. And then I'll look at the chart, which pin should be the 19th pin on the black connector. So if I count that, hard to film, sorry. From knowledge I know that this, from experience I know it's actually, this is number 14, so it should be the 19th. This is all of course now mirrored because we're looking like this onto the black. So it's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then when I connect this, you can hear it beep, so that means continuity is correct. And what I like to do is confirm all of the other pins so it doesn't beep. You know it's not shorting out on something. Of course do this when the battery is off still. Shouldn't have connected that yet, so not to short anything. See, it's pin 19. And also these on the other side. Nothing. Perfect. So check those for every single step of those. So I just did WBO-IP, and it's the second pin looking like this, like you've seen on the chart that I have. And then make the connector the right way and have all the pins on there. Why I'm measuring it at the black is because then you know you've done this step right, everything in the plug-and-play module is correct, and everything on this interconnector is working perfectly. So if you've measured all those, you can plug it in and we can go one step further. As you can see, I've wired in the lambda sensor, so I'm just using pin 1 to 6, and I have verified on these contacts and the sensor or the connector going to the sensor that they're all correct and nothing is interfering. So I'll put on the lock. Whoops. Kind of hard to film, sorry guys. Only goes one way. Sometimes it doesn't want to go, don't push it too hard. See, that's easy. Clicks in and just slow it up right there. Perfect. Now just connect it to the ECU. And one important step before we hook up the battery and start or turn over the ignition is I've unclipped these two connectors, which on the NBFL turn off the injectors and the coils. You don't want those connected when you're loading the base map because you don't know what's on the ECU, and it might interpret one of the injectors as the idle air control valve. And I've seen this in the past, it'll hydrolock your engine. You don't want that. It could also fry our coils when updating. There's a very minor chance, but you never know, so just unplug those before you go one step further. Also don't forget to connect up your lambda sensor connector and have it connected, else you won't get any signal. I've done that in the past before as well. So let's get it connected. Should snap quite nicely. Oh, I just felt it, didn't see hear it, but it did snap it neatly. So that's that. Probably do it a bit because it's neater this way. There we go. Don't put anything on our tension. That's perfect. We've already set up the timing light, which you need to verify timing to the crankshaft. It needs ground here. Always take the 12 volt of the alternator, get the clip back, don't short anything, and ground here. And this is the signal for the first coil. Don't forget the mark on the connector as well. And then the timing light right there. We're gonna get to this step later. There's also a bunch of, I probably won't film it because it's not too interesting, and there's a bunch of good videos out there how to set base timing. You have to lock it, then check, see if it runs nicely, and if it's correct, then take off the lock. That's very important, and you can get rid of the timing light, and it should line up with what the computer thinks and what the engine is actually doing. Final assembly of the the ECU. Well, it's already quite assembled, but just figure I'll do this now. Don't forget to put in all the locks. They're important to keep dust out. I like to do it in steps, makes it a bit easier. And then we'll eventually, on this setup at least, make a little plate to keep this all neatly packaged. Make sure your map line isn't kinked or bent in any way, so you get good map signal. And then I'll attach the tuning cable in a sec. Here's the tuning cable. I'll put that in right there. And for now I'll keep the cover off because I'll probably have to be here one more time, maybe even two. But for this step I'll route it nicely. There we go. That's all neat. Check if all the connectors are tight. And for now it's good like this. And here's the wire that goes into your computer. Pretty easy. So I've wired up the lambda signal sensor correctly. I've put in the map sensor, got the timing, the tuning cable in there. All of these are correct. This is correct. And now I've undone the coils and the injectors. Now it's time to put on the battery and start up your laptop. So the battery has been connected. I have actually hooked up the USB cable, and this is the first time put it in. You can actually see the lights on, so the battery's connected. First time, should hear a beep. It was very faint, I don't know if you can hear that, but it did beep. Oh, and it's telling me that the V2 software has been detected. So this is the pop-up that I'm getting, because this ECU apparently doesn't have the V3 software yet. And I am now upgrading it to the V3 software by pressing OK. And I think I will need, this looks like the most up-to-date one, 2024 second. So this looks like the most recent version 44 of the version 3 software, and it's updating. I'll let you know, guys, when, as said, it's important not to unplug it. I'll let this run and show you what happens later. Okay, this is the first thing you'll see when you connect to a new ECU. It's this number, that's the serial number, and I always like to keep it in there, and I'll probably end up making it MX5 NBFL, and then the owner tone, and then that's there. Okay, now this is called EMU Black tone. One important thing is to know that now it's created a folder on my laptop, and every time I press F2 to update the ECU, or at least to save the current ECU, it will make a backup log file of this, the current log, so what's going on with all the stuff. So you can open the graph. I can see it's already running. It'll save this every time my laptop is connected. When I plug it out, it will do that in the background, and it will also, every time I press F2, update and save to my save a quick change to my computer. So to upload the base map, so I've got the base map right here. You can download this off my website. It comes with the kit, of course. And to upload that, I'll go to File, I'll go to Open Project, I'll go to the base map, and I'll open the base map, and it says it'll be overwritten. The original ECU is basically empty, but this will overwrite it. And I heard a bunch of things click, and we'll see if it updated it. Looks like it's running again. So now we can check the inputs and outputs. For the fuel, we're using fueling, and then go to, for example, fuel tables and VE table 1. And you can tell there's already a base map VE table. It's scaled for boost, but it's not a problem if you're not using it. You're just using the first half of the table. And this should be up to date now, and I'll save it quite quickly with the F2. To check if the lambda sensor is working, I've opened the oxygen sensor under sensors and inputs, and I've turned it heater mode from lambda 4.9 to always on. And then in the WBO tab, you can actually search at the top in this bar if you want, in the V3 software. you can see that if I've turned it to always on, which you should change it to conservative heat up after this, I can tell that it says lambda is valid, means yes. So the lambda sensor is working. You can also see that the lambda is currently almost 2, which means it's very lean. That's normal because the engine hasn't run in a few hours, and the target is currently not correct, so should be going somewhere here. I have to still make the target table, I see, but that should be fixed in the base map. So one of the final steps before starting the car, I've gone to trigger settings, primary trigger, and then ignition angle lock, which is necessary when you're locking the timing. I've set it at 10 degrees, which is normal from the MX-5, because they have a mark on the crank pulley at 10 degrees. So we've got the timing light set up, and we'll shoot it right there, and you'll see these marks, and you'll have to look up how they line up. And there's these two on the pulley already. We've marked them with some white marker to make it easier to see when it's flashing and the engine is running. It might not run amazingly when it's locked at 10 degrees, because it's kind of weird, because it shouldn't be at 10 degrees normally running. So after we've confirmed that 10 degrees is exactly what it's running, you can unlock it, and then it will run a lot better. So let's get this car started and see if we can tune it. So we got the car running, and we're just doing base timing. As you can see, I don't know if that's possible to see on camera, but you can see the marks line up right there with what it should be. And you can change the in the software. You might need to do some troubleshooting to get it running, but in the software you can change this trigger angle to get it perfectly. So now's the time to either keep working on your base map, like it's running lean right now, so I'll add some fuel and make it happy, and play with idle, fuel, and a bunch of other things. After you've removed the angle lock, you should go for a test drive and check if lambda settings are correct, and from there you should go to your tuner and get a base map done. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this helped in installing the EMU Black in your car. Good luck with tuning, and I hope to see you guys next time.